This is CBC Here and Now.
The thought of a crematorium in Deer Lake has residents outraged.
I'm going to be cremated, but I don't want to be cremated next to a restaurant or someone's house.
But the town says they've got it all wrong. I'll explain.
Staff at this spirited school went all out for Halloween.
Our goal is to create an environment where there's positive school pride.
Turning 25, a behind-the-scenes look at 22 minutes.
The only amount of time you should spend in front of a screen is 22 minutes, once a week, Tuesdays on CBC.
Now, there's lots of news coming up, but we start, of course, with Halloween. It's a day that many kids dream about, a day when they can dress up and be a little bit silly or serious and scary, and, of course, eat as much candy as they can.
But it's not just for children, it's for those who never really grew up, and we have two of the best kids in the business, Ryan Snoddon and Jeremy Eaton.
We couldn't keep them in the studio tonight. They had to get out there and dress up.
Welcome to Here and Now, eh?
I'm not sure who these Ryan and Jeremy guys are, eh? But I'm Bob McKenzie. This is my brother Doug, eh?
Yeah, this is pretty spooky right here, eh? Yeah, we're just hanging out in Ghouls at a house.
The Ghouls.
No, man, it's Ghouls, eh?
It's the Ghouls, eh?
It's Ghouls, eh?
The Ghouls, eh?
Ghouls, eh?
The Ghouls, eh?
Whatever.
Take off, eh? Go find us some candy, eh? I'm going to talk to the homeowners here on Soper Avenue. And Soper Crescent, that's right. Sorry. And this is Patty, of course. And Patty, what a production you have here. Congrats on another great year. Now, obviously, the big question, how many kids are you expecting tonight?
Hopefully, we'll get 400 or 500.
400 or 500. How do the neighbors feel about this?
They hate us. Lots more treats.
They have to supply more treats.
Yep,
right.
They do.
How many years have you been doing this?
27.
27. Why do you do it year after year?
My brother says we're crazy. There's a little bit of that in the family.
Look way up and meet brother
Terry.
How are you, Terry?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. How do the legs feel after a couple hours on those lifts?
Dandy. Yeah.
Do you ever go and chase kids down the street?
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, I chase the parents too.
Well, chasing parents is even more fun. Well, thanks for having us. We're going to have a look around here in a little bit. The good thing is, and I'm sure you guys have seen some crazy weather forecasts and some crazy weather over the last 27 years, but it's very nice out here this evening. That's the good news. And over the next couple of hours, staying very nice. We look at our temperatures from the next few hours right through till midnight, and you can see that staying very mild. Temperatures in those high single, low double digits, so good news there. And as we get towards the midnight hour, well, you really shouldn't be out past that anyway. You should be getting to bed, and you don't want to have too bad of a candy hangover for tomorrow. So I'm going to try and find my brother Doug, and we'll talk about tomorrow forecast details a little bit later on, eh?
Okay, we'll get back to Ryan and Jeremy a bit later on Here and Now. In our news tonight, a 2-year-old dispute between the Provincial Chiropractic Association and Workplace NL has reached a boiling point. The chiropractors have announced that as of tomorrow, it is going to cut all ties with the government organization. This latest development leaves hundreds of injured workers caught right in the middle. Here Now's Fred Hutton has our story.
Straight down there, okay?
At any given time, more than 600 people in this province have active injury claims with Workplace NL. Many of those injured workers see a chiropractor as part of their recovery process. As of tomorrow, chiropractors say those patients will have to look elsewhere for treatment.
Last week, our members received notification from Workplace NL that they would not be negotiating with our members on our contract, and that the fees for chiropractic services would be set in procedure by the board rather than in a negotiated contract as they had previously.
Dr. Wade says it's not about money, and after 2 years, the association was left with no choice. But Workplace NL says that is not the case. The CEO says it will continue to reimburse chiropractors for all services provided to injured workers, and in fact, the fees they will pay have gone up.
We've been unable to reach an agreement, So we have set fees, which include a 10% increase or up to a 10% increase in those fees effective tomorrow, November 1st.
Hogan says at issue is the reimbursement for reports. Chiropractors want $37 and the Workplace NL fee is only going to $25. Not all chiropractors in this province will stop seeing injured workers. Dr. Wade says some are actually working outside the association. Dennis Hogan says if injured workers are refused treatment, they should contact Workplace NL and they'll find a chiropractor who will see them. Fred Hutton, CBC News, St. John's.
Residents of Deer Lake are outraged at the thought of a crematorium going up in the center of town. Over 100 people protested outside the town hall last night. But as Here Now's Colleen Connors explains, funeral home owners say the burning system is not as bad as people think.
This is Parsons Funeral Home. The new crematorium is slated to go here, just behind the main building. The problem? It's right next to Gene Young's business.
It would cause depreciation. It could also cause fumes and noise, and especially if it malfunctions. And I'm concerned for myself and my staff. And my son has an apartment upstairs that we also rent out. And I am not comfortable with having it next door.
The crematorium is also next to a restaurant with outside eating, schools, houses, and health clinics. Hundreds signed petitions against putting the crematorium here.
I'm going to be cremated, but I don't want to be cremated next to a restaurant or someone's house. You know.
Crematorium owner David Parsons says people got it all wrong. He says the new technology that will go here doesn't emit smoke or smells and lets off fewer emissions than a household barbecue. But just the idea of a crematorium in town has people upset.
Even if there is no odor or very little odor or smoke, just the location, people walking by it, and, they're burning up somebody in there today, sort of thing. No, it's not a good location,
Council approved the crematorium build, but that decision is now in front of the Regional Appeal Board. It could take 4 months before a decision is made. Residents all agree that they want this crematorium to go in the industrial park outside of the city, away from businesses, restaurants, and homes and schools. Now, Mr. Parsons says that that is not an option and that the best idea is to put the crematorium right on the lot right behind me, right here. Now, Mr. Parsons didn't want to go on camera, but he does say that anyone with questions about this new technology and this new crematorium are more than welcome to come by the funeral home here, and he will explain it in person. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Deer Lake.
A fire this morning damaged a hockey arena in central St. John's. The fire department was called to Bussey Horwood Arena around 10 o'clock after reports of smoke. Firefighters concentrated their efforts on a porch at the rear of the building. There's no word on whether the fire will affect hockey or skating schedules at the former O'Hare Arena.
A local law enforcement group is saying it's sorry tonight. The law enforcement torch run Newfoundland and Labrador raises funds for the Special Olympics. It did that at a Halloween party on Saturday in Mount Pearl. But here's the problem. These photos of members and party guests were uploaded on Facebook the next day. Some wore black faces, another couple dressed up as a cowboy and an Indigenous woman. The organization took the photos down after being contacted by BuzzFeed News. It says it did not mean to offend anybody, and through its work, members support diversity and inclusion. The director stressed it was just a celebration of the Halloween season. To New York now, where police and emergency officials have rushed to a location in Lower Manhattan. Police and witnesses say a motorist drove a truck onto a busy bicycle path right near the World Trade Center Memorial and struck several people. The person emerged from the vehicle screaming and firing what appeared to be a gun. No information yet on the number of people injured and no confirmation of any deaths. The New York Police Department says one person is in custody and that it's unclear whether anybody was shot.
The health minister is defending the province's flu shot campaign after some people were turned away from an Eastern Health vaccination clinic in Torbay yesterday evening. Eastern Health has already done 11,000 vaccinations at clinics like this one. But yesterday, an influx of people hoping to get a flu shot after work at the Jack Byrne Arena caused a problem. Staff there closed the clinic early to avoid breaching fire regulations. The health minister said he hopes it doesn't leave the public with the impression that it's difficult to get a flu shot.
I mean, obviously, when that happens, you're obviously concerned about it. I think the managers on site there yesterday were concerned from a fire safety point of view, quite frankly. We've spoken with Eastern Health. There will be extra clinics added to deal with this capacity. Traditionally, what happens is the surge in vaccinations is usually in the first few days of the beginning of the campaign. And I think the message here is to make sure that on a day-by-day basis, the capacity matches the demand.
Now, yesterday we told you about the high cost of providing ferry service to the island community of St. Brendan's. Well, tonight we shine a spotlight on this tiny settlement.
And its ability to stay alive in the face of repeated predictions of its demise. Here now's Terry Roberts reports.
Here's a traditional Newfoundland scene. A bountiful morning on the water. A well-worn filleting knife in very skilled hands.
I'm an inshore fisherman from St. Brendan's. Been fishing 32 years.
Activities like this have been going on here for 175 years. But Paddy Kelly is a dying breed, though he tries to see the bright side.
As a fisherman, leaves the fishery, there's a lot left for the ones that remain, I suppose.
Go back half a century and rural communities like St. Brendan's were prosperous, home to more than 600 big Catholic families, an island that resisted resettlement. But the passing of time hasn't been kind to St. Brendan's.
The writing is on the wall just about everywhere you look. The youngest fisherman here, about 50 years of age. Young people just don't want this kind of lifestyle. They've gone off, gotten education, many with very successful careers. The seniors, well, they're slowly dying off.
Today, just 115 people. And dropping fast.
It's very sad inside, knowing that where you grew up and such a close-knit families and friends, and you'll never have that anymore.
9 students in a sprawling school. Talk of at least 3 families leaving.
If the people go and take the kids and the school is gone, then, slowly but surely, I guess it'll dwindle away over time.
The ones left behind, fiercely protective of their island living.
I got a feeling in my heart St. Brendan's is here for many a long day yet to come.
People want to live here, people own their own homes and they're quite content here, and we don't want to go no other place.
But even with a slowly evaporating population, the spirit remains strong here. More than 20 on the fire department, a Lions Club, a church, small in numbers, big hearts. A recent fundraiser for a sick resident raised $10,000 in one day.
I came here 44 years ago and settled here, and I was told 44 years ago St. Brendan's might last 5 years. That's 44 years ago, and it's still going strong, and I love every minute of it.
We're dying. I mean, I have no illusions about that we're dying. I mean, having said that, the corridors here are still trying to, there's a boat there, right behind us. And that guy is him and his wife, and the two of their children have joined them in the boat, and they're making a living.
2 convenience stores, but probably not for much longer.
If other opportunities open up for me, I think I would consider these other opportunities. Let them be better job opportunities elsewhere or whatever.
She walks past her parents' house every day. It's empty now, and so is she.
Like I wish some nights, I said, I talk to my sisters in St. John's and they're going for coffee together or they're doing this, and I think to myself, I wish I was with them. So there's your emptiness there too as well.
So probably someday you will be with them?
Yes. Yes. Hopefully.
There's a saying, would the last person leaving turn out the lights? That will be Mayor Veronica Broomfield. She's not going anywhere.
I will fight for this community. I will fight every breath is in me.
Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. Brendan's.
Now, in the wake of our coverage, it appears the provincial government may make changes to the costly ferry service there.
But Premier Dwight Ball says his government will talk with residents of the Bonavista Bay community before any decisions are made.
We'll work with the community, and we will put a service in that meets the demand. And I think we need to be very honest with people when we outline that $52,000 as a subsidy. That's a pretty big subsidy. It's much more than we would see in other areas.
Well, now to Williams Harbour in Labrador, a small community that's decided it is time to move on.
It's a place where families have lived and fished for generations.
But with an aging population and no school-aged children, the permanent residents voted to relocate.
Here now's Jacob Barker recently visited the community just as people were packing up and shipping out before they shut off the lights next month.
It's not just the furniture. It's not just the things that make a house a home. It's a life lived, it's family, it's community.
It's sad to see how everyone's stuff going away from home. It's unbelievable that everyone actually is starting to become real for all the families that they actually had to leave.
Watch the leg, watch the leg. With winter weather knocking and the deadline for power to be shut off just around the corner, the rush is on to get out.
Every time the ferry goes, she's right full. The deck is leveled right off with stuff. Everyone got a household full of stuff to move, and even people who don't live out there all year round got stuff out there, and now they want to get in out of it because they're afraid they may never come back here.
This is just one run the Marine Eagle is making, and it's packed to the brim with people's household belongings. Transportation has added extra runs to help people get out by the deadline. Normally, many members of the community shift out at this time of year. Just a handful stay behind for the winter.
Yeah, that's my bike over there.
Graham Russell is moving to Port Hope Simpson.
All I know is how to drive. I never ever drove anything else on a bike.
The 80-year-old says for him, relocation made sense. Why did you decide to vote to move?
We're all getting up in age, so all old people, that's all we're there, all old people, all the young ones left. It's tough, it's tough, yeah. See all that moving. We was all read up together, and back and forth. Yes, sir. It's hard feelings.
This isn't his last time leaving Williams Harbour. He's already planning to return.
I go back somewhere, get a little generator in the old one.
At Port Hope Simpson, quick work is made of emptying the Marine Eagle. That way it can get back to Williams Harbour for another run. Once everything's been moved and the people are all out, the ferry service will end. But for those arriving here, it's a bittersweet new beginning.
Harsh, but yeah, it's kind of a sad old time, to be honest with you. Watch all the people moving out. Probably some would never be back in, but hopefully we will, but it is kind of a sad time, right?
Kind of sad, but kind of uncertain as well. After so many years in Williams Harbour, it's now time to set up all those things that make a house a home in a new hometown. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Port Hope Simpson.
Well, we are going to continue with our look at Williams Harbour throughout the week and what people there are dealing with as they move out.
Some sad news this evening. One of our former colleagues here in St. John, CBC reporter John Calver, died of cancer last night. John worked for CBC as a national reporter for Newfoundland and Labrador in the 1980s and 90s, covering major stories such as the loss of the Ocean Ranger and the cod moratorium in 1992. He went on to manage a newsroom in Western Canada before returning home to Newfoundland.
John leaves behind 3 daughters and his wife, Joanne. Joanne is also one of our colleagues here at CBC, and we are thinking of her and her family during this difficult time. A memorial service is planned for Friday.
These 2 100-year-old homes have come to define the town of Salvage. The owners love them, but have decided it's time to sell.
How did you come to decide that it was time to try to sell them?
We're older now. That's why.
The kitchen has a plaque that mentions that this is a heritage property. What does that mean?
It is part of the heritage designation that you can't take it down.
What guarantee is there that they'll stay standing? After a tumultuous week, the students and teachers of Bishop Field Elementary School went back to class at the former school for the deaf.
And that's where they'll be until at least January, while Bishop Field is being inspected and repaired after a piece of the ceiling collapsed in the school's gym.
This morning, students had their first day of class. Here Now's Carolyn Stokes spoke with a parent and some students about the big change.
The work has been nothing short of monumental and has been accomplished phenomenally well. You know, this was a really tall order to move an entire school from, you know, we got news last Tuesday evening that it was moving, and here we are Tuesday morning, they were up and running here.
I love it. The school is really different. The gym and the music room is way bigger than the other ones.
How does this school compare to your other school?
Really good.
Which one do you like better?
I can't decide.
The teachers brought the signs in. They said, we're going to have the banners. We're going to have everything the children are familiar with and have it right there in the entrance so that they know this is Field. Yeah. This is Bishop Field for now. This is Bishop Field. So, yes, you know, we're very, very grateful.
It felt kind of weird. It doesn't have a upstairs or downstairs. I like it.
Which school do you prefer?
This one.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's too bad about Halloween. It seems like there are some disappointed children today.
Well, you know, but they know they're going to have a wicked time on Friday.
I'm not that happy, actually. I wanted to wear my costume.
What is your costume?
A vampire. Because I wanted to wear my costume today. It was going to be really fun and Halloweenish.
Mm-hmm. And I happen to know that there's a couple of little secret surprises there for them on Friday to make it extra special and make it worth the while waiting till Friday, yeah.
Well, the show that satirizes the news is celebrating a big anniversary. We won't wait 22 minutes to tell you about it. It's up next.
And later, Halloween, it's not just for kids. We'll explain why these pets are all decked out in their October 31st best.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, this hour has 22 minutes, is now 25 years old. There aren't many shows that last a quarter of a century, but the show that satirizes the news just keeps cracking up Canadians. Recently, Colleen Jones met up with the current cast members to get their memories about the now legendary Canadian comedy show.
Moments before taping this hour, Canada's favorite fake news team is prepping.
You're in the heart of it, just before we're about to do our next episode. Right now, this is exciting.
A new study says that most Canadian children are spending too much time
Trent McClellan is the newest cast member.
The only amount of time you should spend in front of a screen is 22 minutes, once a week, Tuesdays on CBC.
Going through the hallways and seeing all the old photographs of staff or the cast and stuff over the years, it's pretty remarkable. And again, 25 years, it's like it's been part of Canada for as long as I can remember, pretty much, you know.
We've dug deep into our archives for an old story on the success of this hour.
They were showgirls!
That's Kathy Jones when she was a brunette, an original cast member. She remembers when Mary Walsh told her the plan.
Mary said, I would like to do a political satire. And I said, no, I'd like to do a really funny soap, like, Soap, the one that Billy Crystal did years ago. I said, politics, right? And she said, yeah, you don't know anything, so you're going to be perfect.
I'm wandering this hour's halls with Mark Critch. His memories of the start of the show was back when he was a fresh-faced comedian.
Doing a Fringe Festival show, my first time ever in Halifax, sketch comedy show, and where I was going to stay fell through. So I ran into Rick, and he was up here, and he said, oh, you can stay on the floor of my apartment. There's no furniture in it yet. Because I said, well, what are you guys doing? He goes, well, we're doing a new TV show called 22 Minutes. We're doing 8 episodes over the summer. And I said, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. He goes, yeah, it won't last any longer than that. But I said, oh, deadly. So I stayed on Rick's floor when they were up here shooting the first episode, or writing for the first episode. And I thought, that'll never fly. That won't last. And then here I am later, still minding the shop for Mr. Mercer and his 8 Orders of Canada.
For Susan Kent, working on this show is a dream come true.
A new study shows that STI rates are rising rapidly among the elderly. Remember that next time you give Nana a big kiss.
I remember watching the first episode with all of my friends. We were so excited and we just lost our minds because our comedy heroes had this brand new show. It was so slick and so smart.
It's still slick and smart, which is why it's lasted 25 years.
It's so much fun to do this show, and it keeps getting better and better and better.
25 years and counting.
Warranties last week, so if you bought something last year and it wasn't exactly as advertised, and now you want to exchange it for the thing you almost bought, it's too late.
Colleen Jones, CBC News, Halifax.
Bob McKenzie here, live in the Goulds, eh? My brother Doug, he's got himself in a bit of a situation here, eh? Hey, I hope that thing's up and sharpened in a while.
Oh, no way, let me go.
Stay calm, Doug, stay calm. Stay calm, Doug.
What's going to happen?
This weather update is brought to you by the Take Charge Business Efficiency Program. Over 400 businesses have saved energy and taken charge of their bottom line. Find out how you can too.
Well, here's a shot sent to us by Frank Fu showing beautiful Corner Brook from the golf course. Those leaves are likely mid-air given the winds on the west coast right around now.
Possibly flying around a fair bit. Now those were posted on Ryan Snoddon's Facebook page, and that's our cue to check in with our Halloween hoser, Ryan Snoddon. I'll try to give him the right call. Are you there? So loud they can't hear. That's the response I was looking for.
Hang on.
Hosers.
You can't turn your back on the folks out here on Soper Crescent in the Goulds. This is where we are for Halloween, and boy, the stream of people coming up here has been constant. Again, they're estimating maybe 300, 400, 500 kids here tonight, so it's going to be really big. See what I mean? Don't cut the pom-pom, anything but the pom-pom. You can take a limb before you take the pom-pom. Now, as we talk about the weather forecast, again, it's been a really, really nice evening out here. Temperatures are mild. I really don't need the hoser coat, but again, because we're looking at current temps in the double digits. Not the case in Western Labrador. Why don't we start there? I believe I have a picture to start of the snow in through western parts of Labrador today, and yeah, it has been a very snowy day there and a very windy day. Gusts in the 90 to 100 km/h range. So yeah, very, very windy for sure there across western parts of Labrador. Now, current temperatures, I believe, is the next map. Having a bit of technology issue here, Roddy, so maybe you can kind of make sure I'm on the right graphic. So I believe we have current temperatures next, and around the freezing mark in Labrador City, but you can see it's still very mild here across the island. Winds, of course, have been a big story across Labrador particularly. A little on the breezy side across the island as well. We've been seeing some gusts upwards of 60, 70 km/h across Newfoundland for today. And as we roll into the overnight hours tonight, we are going to be seeing those winds continuing to be a little on the gusty side, 50, 60, 70 km/h through the overnight hours tonight and into the morning hours tomorrow. Winds are still going to be gusty, particularly along the coast of Labrador. Still looking at some gusts in the 70, 80, 90 km/h range. So for the island, gusts by tomorrow morning in the 50 km/h range. So still, again, a little on the gusty side for sure. But the good news is, as we work throughout the day tomorrow, it's going to be really not a bad day for the 1st of November. We're talking about winds gusting 50 km/h, tapering off a little bit through the day. Still some gusts of 40 into the afternoon. Highs on the island tomorrow are going to be in the 8-degree range for the west coast and closer towards the 10 to 12-degree range for central and eastern parts of Newfoundland. In Labrador, we're talking about daytime highs tomorrow near -2 in the west and just above freezing in the low single digits for you folks across central and eastern parts of Labrador. So sorry if my rant there and my graphics didn't exactly line up, but again, a few technology issues here, so we're kind of flying blind, which I think it's perhaps because it's so spooky here in the Goulds that the ghosts have taken over the technology. I've got my hands full here anyway, literally. Literally. Doug McKenzie.
Hey, boys. Hey, buddy. So, save me. So Halloween, right? It's not just for the young, it's also for the old. It's like when we get to dress up like the one day of the year. It's true. And today at Holy Spirit High School, every single teacher dressed up, eh?
Every single teacher?
Every single teacher. That's 100%. That's 2 years in a row. And they were also treated to one of the greatest group costumes you're ever going to see. Take a look at this tape right now. Eh?
Arms and legs inside the machine at all times.
We thought that we should lead by example, so every year now our teachers in departments get dressed up, and so last 2 years we've had 100% involvement in our challenge to our staff. Admin team were Gorse Star Wars, math department were Old Betty's on a roller coaster, our English department were Luigi and those group of individuals. Our French department and social studies was The Price is Right, so we have great school spirit here at our school.
As a student body, the kids get almost as excited to see the teachers' costumes as they do for the actual Spirit Week. So in like a week in advance, kids are already talking about like what they think the teachers might dress up as, or like we all gossip about the ideas that they might have.
It took us about a week. We had a lot of help from our spouses and from all the girls here.
How did they react when they saw all their math department dressed up like this morning?
They really didn't know who we were, but they loved the idea, and our goal is to create an environment where there's positive school pride, and I think we accomplished that today.
Everybody loves having that little silly vibe. Even though we're doing a lot of work and we're focusing on the academics, we like to still have fun when we can.
That's brilliant.
Look at the rollers and the rollers with the plastic over it. Excellent, excellent
wonderful.
job.
All right, well, let's stay with the Halloween spirit. The therapy dogs at St. John Ambulance were a little extra cute this week.
Yeah, a four-legged Superman and a Bumblebee were just two of the canines that showed up at the monthly session at Stella Circle here in St. John's.
And their goal? Overwhelm the clients with joy. And as you're about to see, it looks like they succeeded.
It controls a lot of anger because I go through a lot of rages because I have problems controlling pain. So, and my right side's all metal. So it's difficult, really difficult, but I'm ADHD and I'm extremely hyper. And for my age, I shouldn't be, but I need a lot of physio, and the dogs are one way.
I've suffered from depression and anxiety, so these dogs help. Dogs are cute, and it helps if you're having a bad day or a stressful day. The dogs come and they just make you feel better, make you feel happy, glad.
Who doesn't need a bit of sunshine and happiness in their lives? And it's really important for participants.
Up next, the head of the Conn River Reserve explains why 3 of the province's First Nations are banding together in hopes of landing a shared fishing license. Stay with us.
All three of this province's First Nations are banding together for the first time with the hope of getting a license to fish Arctic surf clams. DFO is breaking up a virtual monopoly on the shellfish and will award 25% of that quota to an Indigenous group. Chief Mizel Joe with the Miawbugig First Nation hopes a consortium with the Halibut and the Innu Nation will get that lucrative license to provide jobs and wealth for Indigenous people here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Chief Mizel joins us now from Conn River. Welcome to Here and Now.
Well, thank you, sir.
Chief Mizel, how significant is it that for the first time, three First Nations in our province are coming together with the common goal of trying to win this clam license?
I think it is extremely important and historic as far as I'm concerned. Now, we've partnered with the Halibut in the past to do, and still is doing, other things through ocean learning projects and stuff like that. But to have the Innu involved in a partnership, that to me is an incredible step forward. Regardless, and I hope that we do get a license to fish the surf clams, but regardless of that, that's still important steps to be making. It opens up the door for many things.
What's your sense of DFO's rationale in wanting to grant this money-making seafood to an Indigenous company?
Well, I think you may want to relate that back to the TRC, at least that's what I'm thinking anyway. And from what I understand, I may be wrong, but as far as I know, all the quota wasn't being caught anyway. And this monopoly by one company, regardless, whether they caught all the clams or not. And that's the choice that the minister would make, and I welcome it because it allows us then access to a lucrative fishery that we didn't have before.
So what's the opportunity as far as jobs and wealth goes for people in all three First Nations who are trying to make this license application?
Well, number one, we own, if we're fortunate enough to get it, we own this 25%. It don't go to the non-Aboriginal companies. Actually, all three of us will own this 25%. So we choose what we want to do with it. And in terms of jobs, it's hard to say at this stage how many jobs it'll create. I don't think for a minute that it's going to be thousands and thousands of Mi'kmaq people or Innu people swarming to get involved in this fishery in a way that, on the ground, boots running.
Right.
It's going to create jobs, no doubt about that, both in our communities and on the South Coast.
Now, you mentioned the South Coast and also the company that had a monopoly, that's Clearwater. As you know, there's some concern down in Grand Bank that giving 25% of the quota to an Indigenous group means the possibility of losing jobs there. What would you say to them?
Well, no, I'm sure in the process of all this happening, there's going to be people that are going to have to make some adjustments. But at the same time, we're also looking at processing, if we're fortunate enough to have this quota, we're also looking at processing on the South Coast as well. So there may be some areas lost, but it also gains in others.
Chief Mizel Joe, thank you for coming on Here and Now this evening.
Oh, okay.
Now, DFO is...
It's Halloween, of course, so we have to play this, but there's actually another reason for some Michael Jackson music today.
Yeah, he's leading Forbes' list of the top earning dead celebrities. The King of Pop's estate has raked in, get this, $75 million.
Let's meet our young athlete of the day. This is David Odo of Corner Brook. David is 3 years old and recently finished playing soccer with Corner Brook Minors Soccer Program.
David is currently taking part in Salto's gymnastics and he's enjoying it very much. Congratulations, David. You are our young athlete of the day.
Beautiful day yesterday on the north shore of Glovertown, thanks to Jane Hines, who sent this picture in to us.
It's a gorgeous shot. Absolutely nice. And not a bad day today in some places, so let's check in once again with our hoser meteorologist, Ryan Snoddon. Ryan, pretty decent Halloween here in Metro, but hasn't always been that way, has it?
Yeah. It's hard to hear you, eh? Overall, the screaming kids, eh? And it kind of loud. And I've just met a headless bride here. This is not an illusion. There's no head, so we have to go down, and we find 10-year-old Brooklyn. How are you, Brooklyn?
Good.
How long did this costume take to make?
About 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. You must really, really love Halloween.
Yeah.
Is it your favorite? Do you love it more than Christmas?
Yeah.
More than Christmas?
Yeah.
How many houses are you planning to go to tonight to get candy?
I don't know. Just going with my friends.
Just going with your friends until the bag is overflowing. It looks like you've got a pretty good haul here already.
Yeah.
Does this haunted house stuff, does this scare you?
No.
No? Not at all?
No.
The hands grabbing, the screaming?
No.
Well, I wish you the best of luck on your candy travels tonight, and I hope that your bag overfloweth with all your riches over the next couple days. Enjoy your candy, and thanks for chatting to me.
Thank you.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Well, the good news is for the Headless Bride, for all these kids that again and we've got a huge crowd here as well. It's madness. Again, they're expecting 300, 400, maybe 500 kids at this house tonight on Soper Crescent in the Goulds. And the good news is it's been pretty good weather for it. This was not always the case. Maybe you're old enough to remember Halloween of 1975. Have a quick look at this graphic, and it shows what was no doubt one of the scariest Halloweens in terms of weather. Look at these numbers, 127 km/h wind gusts in St. John's Halloween night into November 1st. We had 12 centimeters of snow in St. John's, 21 centimeters in Gander. As you can see, it was just a spooky, spooky Halloween everywhere. Now, in terms of the current picture, the good news is, well, yeah, it hasn't been anything like that. We've had pretty good conditions overall. Temperatures are still into the double digits. The winds have been a little on the gusty side for sure, where we're looking at gusts in that still 70 km/h range for Labrador City. Could still gust to 100 through this evening. Future tracker. We'll run you through pretty quickly here through the overnight tonight and in through the next day or so, and you can see where the good news is that we're looking at temperatures in the 12-degree range for your forecast tomorrow under a mix of sun and cloud. Now, expect for Labrador City, temperatures near -2, and for the rest of Labrador, temperatures in that 2 to 4 degree range. Now, for the future tracker, as we roll into the Thursday time period, we're looking at temperatures in the 8-9 degree range across the island. For Labrador, overnight daytime highs near 1 in Labrador City, 2 to 5 degrees across the south and east. And as we move into Friday, our next system is going to be moving in. So we got a quiet day for Thursday. Our next system moves in Thursday night into Friday. We've got snow mixing with rain in Labrador on the island, increasing clouds with some late day rain pushing into the west. And I know I'm putting you through the races here, but if we could show our 7-day boards now, you can see where we've got temperatures certainly cooling off into the latter half of the weekend and early next week. And in Labrador, we are looking at a big cool down for the weekend with highs below the freezing mark. And we're going to leave you. We're still coming back to the Goulds, but how are you doing, Trump? Are you getting some good candy, or how's the reception been at the door? Pretty good. Pretty good at the door. Perfect answer. I'm going to try and find my brother Doug, and we'll come back here to the Goulds one last time before the end of the show. Let's throw it back to the studio.
A documentary charting Gander's journey to being featured on Broadway in the Come From Away musical premiered in the town last night.
The feature was produced by CBC Newfoundland and Labrador. It's called Gander's Ripple Effect, and it will air on the CBC next year as part of the Absolutely Newfoundland and Labrador documentary series. Welcome back to Here Now. We want to take you back now to an item that we had a little bit of trouble playing earlier on the show.
That's right. It's about the therapy dogs at St. John Ambulance and how they're helping out at Stella Circle in St. John's. Here's a look.
It controls a lot of anger because I go through a lot of rages because I have problems controlling pain. So, and my right side's all metal. So it's difficult, really difficult, but I'm ADHD and I'm extremely hyper. And for my age, I shouldn't be, but I need a lot of physio, and the dogs are one way.
I've suffered from depression and anxiety, so these dogs help. Dogs are cute, and it helps if you're having a bad day or a stressful day. The dogs come and they just make you feel better, make you feel happy, glad.
Who doesn't need a bit of sunshine and happiness in their lives? And it's really important for participants when they come to Stella Circle to feel a part of something. It's a great way to socialize, you know, in a friendly environment with dogs, and we always have popcorn and lots of treats, so it's a lot of fun.
I love it. I mean, it's every time we visit, you know, we say we're spreading smiles. You meet such great people, you hear stories. Some of the people, you know, have had dogs, some don't, but everybody at some point, you know, will talk about a pet, a dog, a horse, or something that they've had that makes them feel better.
There's no question one of the popular parts about Halloween is forcing your favorite furry friend to wear some kind of ridiculous costume. Dogs, unlike cats, don't seem to mind that.
No, that's true. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous dog. This is Wool, a handsome Samoyed who lives in St. John's. Wool's dressed up as Bat Dog for Halloween, and he's the buddy of one of our CBC radio colleagues.
And we're told that Wool has an impressive Instagram page, so there you go, Wool. A little free plug for you on Here and Now.
Oh, he's gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, not so gorgeous is where, well, the hosers are.
The hosers. Yeah, the not so gorgeous hosers who've been out there having fun all night.
It's pretty spooky here, eh? I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna lie. What are your overall thoughts on tonight, Doug?
Well, this is a pretty great house, eh? I think if you're ever in the Goulds, that's not the kind of person you want to go home with, eh? No. But
they keep saying there's more room for 2 more in there, but no thanks, eh? No thanks.
Could be a good time, Doug. You never know, eh? Jeepers creepers. Anyways,
best part about tonight, lots of free candy. The kids are just walking around and just taking it out of their bags. It's a great time.
It's like stealing candy from a baby, eh?
Yeah. Anyway, great time out here, Sober Crescent in the Goulds. Thanks so much for them hosting, and happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween, eh?
Halloween to you guys, and just look who's getting in the mood.
Yeah, remember the ads, right? Come play on my island. Come play on my island.
Oh my God. Another first on Here and Now.
I hope she can sleep tonight. Good night.
Thanks for being with us.